The guys behind the From Corner to Corner podcast are diving deep into Montgomery County High School sports with the Community Trust Bank Coaches Corner. Join us as we talk local high school athletics with your local coaches. Whether you're a student athlete or a screaming fan, this is the place to turn to get the inside scoop before the next big game. And now it's time for the show with Sean Kiper, Neil Payne, Adam Muncy, and Wes Crouch.
And welcome back to another episode of From Corner to Corner, Coaches Corner, presented by Community Trust Bank. Tonight we have the pleasure of having the girls golf coach, Chris Spoonamore, on with us. Chris, welcome to the show.
Man, thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. A big round of applause.
Right.
We all two of you.
Yeah. So I've got Wes here with me tonight, too, as well. And I know we're not technically in golf season, but we're trying to make a connection with all of the coaches as we can get them in. Ideally, the idea for the show is that we can be able to catch up with you throughout the season, maybe bring some of the girls on with you as well, someone that's overperforming or something like that. We talked before the show, you kind of have noticed the traction of our Athlete of the Week thing that's going on. We started that post-golf season last year. So,
I see how it is.
Yeah.
And now we're going to make up, so we're going to bring me on a couple of times.
That's what it is. We're trying to make up for that. And it's just like you don't realize how much is going on in the world of athletics in Montgomery County. But like last week we had the Coach Cobb and a couple of the bass fishermen on. We've had Ella Rout and Dustin on, and then we had Coach Jason Mays on as well. So we've had several coaches on, and we want to try to make our way through it. So that's our goal, because we want to be pushing Montgomery County. We kind of decided let's win Montgomery County. And how do we win Montgomery County? Well, Montgomery County is big on their athletics around here, and it seems to be working, and right. A lot of people have had really good responses to the coaches show, and so it's kind of what we're doing. So I guess my first question would be, I know you coach the girls golf team or ladies golf team, women's golf team, whatever you want to call it. How long you been doing that?
Well, so it's crazy. I had to argue with myself, and then luckily Christy stepped in to kind of help me with my math skills, because evidently they're non-existent for the most part. So, this will actually be my 10th year.
Wow.
So this is number 10. And I was saying, no, it's 9, babe. And she, no, it's 10. Think about it. I was like, no, this is 2023. And I started, she goes, 2014. I went, okay, yeah, you're right. My bad.
Now, is that all 10 years? You talk about 10 years here?
10 years here, right. Because I never coached girls at all, right, until girls golf here in Montgomery County. And I had coached the boys team when I worked at Montgomery the first time around. So I was here, 2000, 2002. So 2001, 2002, I coached the boys team. And then I went to Bourbon for 11 years, but I've always coached baseball. I played golf a little bit, in college, but not scholarship or anything, and was pretty decent then, a whole lot better in college than I was in high school, and then played for our team, in high school, and then came back, and Phil Risen came up to me and said, hey, we need somebody to coach, the girls golf team, because Dudley McKenna at that time was Napier, but she was pregnant and getting ready to have her child, and he's like, she'll probably come back, but if you'll fill in, it'd be a great fit. I was like, all right, yeah, I can do that, sure. I've never coached girls. This will be entertaining, I'm sure. this huge big testosterone, field, just angry, guy. Then all right, yeah, I'll coach girls. And then, but it was Phil. I mean, I'll give all credit to him.
Yeah.
I mean, he saw something that was there that obviously I didn't see in myself. I think that's what a good leader does.
Right.
And I love it, man. I mean, it's totally different than coaching. Definitely coaching baseball, but coaching guys.
Yeah.
And it's just the girls are amazing. I mean, you invest in them, you work hard for them. They will fight a buzzsaw for you.
Yeah.
And they will be just crazy loyal to you.
Yeah.
And they'll listen, they'll work hard. I mean, who'd ever thought? But,
well, I mean, and similar to what Dustin said, right?
Yeah.
And Ella was the same way. I mean, Ella was like, I would fight for him,
Yeah.
And so she was the ultimate team player, right? So, but I mean, I know you do a good job on social media bragging about the girls. They're very successful. I mean, you all are always competitive on the field. And I have played golf. I'm not very good at it, but I enjoy it. It actually reminds me, I know this is probably weird to say, but when I'm out on the golf course, it reminds me of when I used to go fishing with my dad, because you're kind of just, it's you and nature, and you're just out there and you can hear nothing, right? And it's just like, oh man, this is so peaceful. And then, of course, you hit a bad shot and you're like, I hate this game. Why do I play this game?
I was going to say,
followed up by a good shot going, this is why I play this game.
Depending on where you're at. Sometimes you hear just a string of obscenities. And anymore now, it seems like I hear a lot of music playing out there. But it's changed a little bit.
Yeah. So,
I'd say it's changed a lot in 10 years. From the time you started here with the girls to now, just in the matter of not teaching the girls what they need to be taught, how to swing, rules and whatnot, but just technology-wise, club-wise, and equipment-wise, it's changed a lot.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I kind of tell this to most parents when their girls, when they want to start out, they're like, everybody wants to go out and buy. And I'm like, don't buy anything until you talk to me.
Yeah.
It's like, let me see if they're just starting out. Let me see if I can find some cheap clubs or maybe free clubs, because sometimes we've done that. And let me try that first, and then let's see if they like it, and then we'll go and start throwing some money, because golf is expensive.
Right.
It is.
And if you buy new clubs, a new driver is going to be $400 to $600.
right.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's
So
but the technology, once it gets going, they'll say, each year from, year to year that it's this huge increase. It really is not. I mean, irons haven't really changed a whole lot in the last several years, even though the big manufacturers will tell you. But same thing for drivers. But, every 5 years or so, you get a huge jump. So, we've seen 2 massive jumps just in the decade now that I've been doing it.
Right.
So do you coach like the middle school girls too? Are you do you coach all the way down?
So, our team is middle school and high school both.
Yeah.
When they hit 7th grade, they can try out. And then several of the ones, like this year, so we've got 3 seniors coming back this year. And all 3 of these girls, so it's Kylie Reese Brown and Delaney Wills and Jordan Smith. So those 3, they have been with me since, Jordan came in the spring, started working out with me the spring of her 7th grade year. So she didn't play in the fall of her 7th grade year. But they might as well all have been there since they were since 7th grade. So they've been a part of the golf program since the first point where they could be.
Right. Yeah.
And so this is the first time too. I'll probably get weepy when we get into the fall.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah, because I mean
this is your class, right? This is like your first true class,
right? I mean they came in together and they would have now spent these last 6 years with me,
right?
So I mean it's I mean when they start like that, it's just cool. I mean because
you've seen the whole evolution of their game, right?
Right? Yeah. And it's a tough game. So it's not for everybody. Not everyone's going to excel in it. It's like any other sport. Sometimes you can, and I always use this when I talk to them. poor old Charles Barkley. I love him to death, but I love his just his mannerisms. His mannerisms on the mic, and then his level of honesty with everything. But using him as the example, I always tell him you can be the best athlete or one of the best athletes in your sport, like Barkley, and have an atrocious golf swing.
Yeah.
And I always tell them, go on YouTube and look up Charles Barkley golf swing.
Yeah.
If you ever feel bad about yourself, just go back and look at that. It's not that bad.
Yeah. And I swear he's so bad, I think he does it on purpose.
He talked about it was a mental block with him.
Yeah.
He knew it, but he would just get stuck.
Yeah.
And it was just all mental. So he would just freeze up. But it's kind of funny.
So I know this is probably a weird question, but in a team golf type setup, is it a team event or is it completely individual and you have so many players that can play in each event, or is everybody playing?
So golf is one of these sports, right, that it is a team. And then you have teams that go to the event. So you have a 5-girl team. Mm-hmm. At the end, you take the top 4 scores of the 5. However, it's an individual sport.
Right.
Because there is no one, I can't do it, teammates can't do it, no one can hit it for you.
Right.
No one can drop that putt in. It is totally an individual sport that just happens to have a team part to it.
Yeah.
But it is individual.
I didn't know if they ever do like a scramble type thing or not.
No.
Yeah.
Everything's stroke play. We do have a few tournaments. Like our tournament, every girl that can actually play 18 and keep up will play. There's been some years that we took the more inexperienced ones and we got them in for like 9 holes.
Yeah.
And then after 9, we just got them out of the field and let the field kind of roll on. But no, it's always stroke play, and typically when you go to these tournaments, you're only taking 5.
Yeah. So I assume that's your 3 seniors, and then
not always.
Not always.
No, it's one of the best sports in terms of dealing with I call it that old boy of mine. I'm going to give props to Larry Conrad. Larry Conrad passed away from cancer just about a year ago, and he coached Bourbon County baseball, and I played Connie Mack for him. So Conrad always had this saying. He's like, I'm going to write a book one day called That Old Boy of Mine. That old boy of mine throws harder, runs faster, jumps higher, And the thing about golf is you can't really do that. Golf is statistics. It's strokes.
Yeah.
So it's an average. And if you got the best average, then that's your number 1.
Yeah.
Second, 2, and so forth.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to debate now. You could come down and say, well, so and so's really hot. Yeah, but they've had 110 average up until the last 2 tournaments, and this one's got a 97 average. So,
yeah.
I'm not going to say
and I'm sure the course comes into play too, right? Where you're
absolutely.
going, it's like, you're averaging this, but you play horrible on this course.
Definitely. The courses play a huge part. And it's kind of trying to compare, the conditions. It's hard to compare, a day that it's just beautiful out and the wind's not blowing hard versus like this past fall at the state round 1, and Peyton Patrick was playing in it. She qualified, and we go out there, and the winds were hitting, like we had gusts up to 40 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. At Winchester Country Club, which is super tight and huge big mature trees everywhere and postage stamp greens. I was sitting in there and I walked step for step with her the whole 18, and I'm sitting there going, thank God I'm not playing out here because I would have been. It was horrible. It was so difficult.
Yeah.
So if you compare that to a day that there's no wind blowing and the greens are large and fluffy and they're slow and it's just it's hard to compare that.
Yeah.
And some of these places we go, they're tough. You go up to Grayson where the region will be this year,
right?
And so Grayson Lake, Hidden Cove is the course, and it is a beast. And you walk down into one valley and walk right back up the hill, and you're pushing your cart, and it's like a 45-degree angle on you. I mean, it's nuts. It's
Yeah.
so difficult. So that, you compare that course to, something that's really flat and, it's not even pushing you that hard physically.
Yeah. So is our home course Indian Creek or what used to be the country club?
Right. So Irish Hills now is the name.
They've changed it so much.
Yeah. Irish Hills I think it's a really good test. Because it's a mixture of
It's a tough course.
It is absolutely. There are some holes on that course that will flat eat your lunch.
Yeah.
I mean you can get off and you can be in real bad trouble really quickly.
Yeah.
It's an older course. At least part of it is an older course. And those greens, they're large. They have a lot of subtle breaks. The older ones. Now some of the newer ones that they put on, I've complained for years.
The front nine is the older part of the course, right?
Most of the front nine. They lost number 7, and then so now number 10 is. It used to be number 5.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit here and there. I mean, it's kind of spread out. So like 18 was 9, 17 was 8. Number 7's gone.
Yeah.
And then 10 was 5, and now 11 was 6.
Okay.
And then so that's kind of how it got split up. But yeah, I mean it's the newer section of the course. Some of the greens were just when they designed them. I mean, no offense to anybody out there, but I mean it's just awful. Yeah. I mean there's one number 13. I have set and hit a wedge into the green, hit it on the back half, spun it, and it spins off the front and all the way down the hill, and now you got a 70-yard shot back up in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not fair. I mean,
right.
And then 15 is a par 3, and it's got like 3 tiers, and and they'll put the pin will be in the right spot, and I mean, it's just some of it is just I think it's poor design.
Yeah.
But, now, it wasn't anybody here local that designed it. So
which one is Winchester Country Club?
So it's the one downtown, like 627 going out of downtown,
where the old where the middle school is. If you take that road on into town, it's on your right there.
Huh. So what's the one out Boonesboro Road?
That's Southwind.
Okay. Okay. I did not know there was 3 in Winchester. I knew there was Southwind and Castle Creek.
Right.
That's the only 2 I've ever played. I didn't know there was a country club.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean it's a good course. I mean it's tough though.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think it when you just first get out there, but when you start playing it, it's tough.
Southwind's that one that both Southwind and Castle Creek both have shots over water.
Oh yeah.
Guaranteed, I'm going in the water. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I mean, my ball is bound for the water. Doesn't matter what kind of shot I make. I can't tell you how many times at Castle Creek I've had an incredible shot and ripped it, and I'm like, it's going to clear the water. Kaboosh.
Yeah.
So, what course is your favorite?
That we play?
That you all play?
Oh, wow. I think, so my favorite tournament, we'll say, and then because of the course is definitely a part of the tournament.
Gotcha.
Is Shelbyville hosts one every year, and it took us a while to get into that one. It's a big tournament. I mean, they have 105 plus golfers.
Is that at Weisinger?
And it's Weisinger Hills.
Okay.
Man, and I love that course. It's a beautiful course.
Wes dropping names over here.
Yeah, and it really is. I mean, it's my favorite tournament. Chris Reddle always runs it for them, and he does an amazing job. He runs the Bluegrass Golf Tour. And, we've had several girls play for him on that tour. Mm-hmm. And Chris is just a really good dude. Mm-hmm. And so he always runs it for them. And Shelbyville, I mean, they do an unbelievable job hosting. They take really good care of the girls, take good care of the coaches, and all the top teams go in there and play it. And it's just a beautiful layout, man. I mean, it's just, you have to make some shots. You have to hit. You can't just sit back and just absolutely smoke everything. I mean, you've got to play smart out there. And it's hands down my favorite tournament, except for ours. I mean, ours, of course, is, phenomenal.
Listen,
so is that kind of how that works? Is like it's tournaments, it's schools.
Right.
Now, do you pick who's invited to that tournament, or do they sign up for it? I kind of take it that when you said it took you a while to get into it,
right?
Meaning you were kind of looking for a spot, right?
Right. I mean, some of the tournaments, and that goes for ours too.
Now, out of 105 teams, sorry.
105 players.
Oh, 105 players. I was like, good God, 105
No.
teams. I'd say that would be a big tournament.
No, it's 105 players. So,
okay.
Because you'll have some teams that have 4. They won't have a full team of 5.
Yeah.
And then you'll have a bunch of teams that have 5, and then you'll have a bunch of individuals. You might have
Gotcha.
like 20, 25 individuals. That
Smaller schools, stuff like that.
Yeah, or just I mean, it might be a smaller school, just maybe a school that's not a golf school.
Yeah.
Or they haven't really tried to boost their program and get numbers up. But yeah, so tournament wise, right? It totally depends on the tournament, on whoever is running the tournament. So like, you can guarantee, our tournament is going to be August 12th, 13th, right around whatever that weekend is.
Mm-hmm.
It's always that same
So
weekend.
right at the start of school.
Right. It's usually the first week of school.
Yeah.
And it works out really good if you're the coach who sets up, does all the pairings and things, because you only have two days of class, or maybe 3 days of class. So,
and this year you might not even have class because
we don't
push back to the
they've
17th.
already pushed it to the next week. So this year I'm tickled to death. But it works out great at the start of the year because I'm not really just rolling with content, because the first couple of days you've got to get all the paperwork out of the way. So It's fine for me to do the tournament then. So we try to host at the same time every year, and a lot of these other people do it about the same weekends or same general time if they're doing weekday tournaments before school starts. So we all count on that. And these bigger tournaments, Shelbyville's, Henry Clay's, this year, actually LCA is bringing back the Kentucky Cup, and that used to be several years ago like the premier tournament, right? And then the last few years they haven't hosted it. Well, they brought it back, and it's invite only. We got an invite. So, and that's because of how hard these girls have worked.
Yeah.
I mean, we built this program and made it into something that's at least recognized now, across the state. Definitely, central, northern, and eastern Kentucky, because they know. I mean, so we got an invite to that one.
So when
is
that tournament?
That is, I believe that's July 31st. I think.
Yeah.
I don't have the schedule memorized, and I sure didn't take a picture of it, bring it in. I forgot it.
So it's a fall sport, but it's also kind of like summer sport, right?
Yeah, July 15th.
Yeah.
That's when we start.
Yeah.
The first tournament's July 22nd this year.
Yeah.
We have 7 days.
Yeah. So I mean, you have technically voluntary practices up to dead period.
Yeah, I mean,
and then you all get a official week. I mean, obviously the girls during the summertime are playing on the golf course.
Some. I mean, it's nothing's ever mandatory. I'm not going to force anyone to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say that for every school and every team.
Right.
Some do say, it's voluntary, but you better be there. I don't. That's not voluntary. I mean, if you want to be a top athlete, you have to be intrinsically motivated.
Right.
I'm not going to do that for you. I'm not going to force your hand, because the only thing I'm going to do is make you mad or make you not like the sport.
You cannot teach motivation and desire.
Yeah,
Can't do it.
And I don't do that. I mean, it's now I will reach out and be like, hey, if you want to come out and hit me, work with you a little bit, then I'm available. But I'm not going to call every parent and say, hey, we need to get so and so in. If you want to, but I will reach out usually once, maybe twice, and just say, hey, I'm available. But no, I'm not going to force that on.
Right.
I don't do that. And if you want to be good, you're going to work at it. If you want a scholarship, you're going to work at it.
Do you have girls on the team that want to play in college on a scholarship?
Absolutely. And right now, if you are already being looked at,
that's good.
I know I'm on one group. It's called Field Level, and it's a bunch of college coaches and high school coaches all over the nation. And it's kind of gaining, some following out there. And I know right now, they kind of steer you away from putting freshmen on there, because technically, the NCAA rules, they can't even recruit them at that point.
Right.
Gotcha.
So they kind of say, just hold off on, that age at this, right now. I think it's after their freshman year, NCAA, they can start, under NCAA rules, they can start recruiting them. But now D3, NAIA, they kind of get it's a little more lax, right? But when you start looking at, I think D2 and D1, especially D1, they have really strict regulations on it. So on field level, we've got
only in golf, apparently, because it ain't in the football.
Right. Well,
The first thing that went through my mind was, wait a minute, I thought Billy Gillespie was recruiting guys in 8th grade.
Yeah. Well, they recruit them. They don't recruit them.
I got you.
There are ways around it. So it's, the coach and program aren't allowed to officially.
Right.
Now, there's unofficial.
Sure.
You can have unofficial visits, and you can have, that kind of stuff. Unofficial contact can come from maybe boosters or something. I don't know. We won't talk about that. But if there,
moving on,
right? If there are any D1 boosters out there that wants to, I need a new truck. No, I'm just kidding. Mine does have some rust on it.
I like red.
No, I really don't. But I prefer like blue and black.
Yeah.
But no, it's really cool because we do have several coaches following some of those girls, and that's awesome.
Right.
And we're reaching out and
as a coach, that's kind of like the pinnacle, right? You got obviously winning tournaments or a state tournament, but to see your work that you've helped these girls develop over the years pay off in an opportunity to go to college for, a partial ride, full ride, whatever. I'm not real sure how
you don't get full rides in golf. Okay.
Yeah.
You're not generating money.
But it's like, Gabe Ambergy last week on the fishing show was talking about, like, he's got colleges looking at him for fishing scholarships. Not just one. He had several schools that are looking. And, it's – I told him last week, I said, I'm jealous because they wasn't no colleges or high school fishing teams when I was a kid and fishing with my dad. It was just fun then.
Right.
But it's a business now. And but that's awesome. I think it's fantastic that you get the opportunity to see these girls do that. And a big part of our athlete of the week is that every time somebody signs with a college, they typically wind up being our athlete of the week because as far as a high school athlete goes, that's kind of the pinnacle, right? If you're getting a scholarship to go play ball or somewhere, that's a big deal.
Oh, absolutely.
And we really try to make that a big deal. We want that.
It's such a small percentage of high school athletes actually get a college scholarship.
Right.
People don't realize that.
Yeah.
It really is a very small percentage.
Yeah.
So, to do that, you have to put in a ton of time.
Yeah.
And you've got to put the time in the recruiting side of it too. You've got to get yourself recruited anymore.
Yeah.
You've got to make videos. You've got to make contact. You've got to send those out to coaches. And again, it's intrinsic motivation, right?
And
you have to be willing
brand
to do it.
building at this point. All of these athletes, not to get to a football thought, but we talked about this last year when the Giants drafted Thibodeau, right? And a lot of the teams passed on him because he had such a huge social media impact that they didn't know if he was going to be bought into the team. Well, look, that's part of the business now.
Right.
You have to build your brand. You don't have a Nike coming to your door like Michael Jordan did, wanting to build a custom shoe for you. And now you have to earn your way into that.
Right.
You have to build your brand. Reagan Oney has done that, right? She's all over social media. And it paid off, right? She's got a scholarship to Marshall, and she's killing it right now. So, seeing all these kids do that is fantastic. Caitlin bowled, right? So she's bowled the last 2 years, and she got approached by who was it? It was Campbellsville. They approached her about bowling on their team.
Yeah.
And I was like, proud dad moment, right? I mean,
Right.
she's already pretty much decided she's going to Eastern. They don't have a bowling team, but it was still pretty cool that at a tournament she gets approached.
Her name came up.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
So is that what is? I mean, obviously, winning tournaments and winning regions and stuff like that. That's obviously the ultimate goal as a coach. But it is that. Not to put you on the spot, but is that more gratifying, or is it seeing a girl that you've had, whether it's 2 years or whether it's 6 years, go from here to here?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously everyone keeps track of statistics for a reason, right? So in the coaching realm, it's your wins and losses and your tournament championships and all that stuff. So there's a reason they keep up with it. There's a reason that the best coaches tend to be the ones who've had the most success that way. I don't think any coach, I mean, I'm sure there's some, I hate to say all because all means all, but I would say very few coaches ever get into coaching just to pad their own ego. Yeah. Now, I think it turns into that for a lot of people. I really do. But most of them didn't have an ego because they were a nobody when they started.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I'm still a nobody, right? I mean, so for me, I mean, when you get to see someone who starts the game and then they excel very quickly and then they get an honor, you know, and so that they make it, you know, I'll use Payne as an example because, I mean, this is a perfect example, right? So she started, came in, first year just kind of learning the game. Second year broke into the top 5 and started playing. Third year makes state tournament.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need I say any more?
Right.
And that's not me. I mean,
Right.
I can't take credit for that.
Right.
You know, that's work. I mean,
Right.
that's work. And of course you have to be a good athlete. Now I'm lucky. I've got a lot of girls that will work really hard, and they may not have every single year, but it's usually there's one breakout year for every girl that they decide, man, I'm going to actually put forth the effort and get better. And I'm really lucky there. I mean, because that makes me look good, but I can't hit it for them. I can show you technique, but I can't swing it for you.
Right.
I can't make that just click for you.
Right.
Golf is different. And I can show you every single thing, and I can put your club in the right spot, and we can do drill after drill after drill. But ultimately, you've got to work through that and figure it out.
Yeah.
So the fact that we have had success is all on the backs of those girls, and that's what I do it for. And we've had wins. We won 2 tournaments last year.
Right.
I mean, and you just think about that. So there's 25 teams roughly. So around 100 girls in a tournament. We got 2 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not normal,
right.
Especially in like our region.
Yeah.
That's not normal. But those again, it's a testimony to how hard those girls work coming into that season.
Right.
Gotcha.
So,
well, you know, he kind of going back on what he was saying there a while ago, the gratification and the stats and stuff. But you know, in the grand scheme of things, the stats is what keeps you employed, right?
Exactly.
Like if your team sucked, it wouldn't matter if
I didn't have girls coming out.
Yeah, if you had every single girl get a college scholarship, but you're never winning or never competing, it really wouldn't matter. You know, I mean, so when it comes down to it, wins and losses do matter when it comes to.
It's a little different than it's hard to compare something like golf to football, basketball, and baseball. I mean, and softball, right? I mean, because those. I mean, you can pad your schedule in basketball. Not to pick on the basketball coaches, love you both. Cheers. But you know, you can pad your schedule and get your 20-win season.
Right.
I mean, you can do that.
Yeah.
Golf, you can't do that.
Right.
I mean, you go to these tournaments. I mean, and you look up and here comes LCA and Henry Clay and Madison Central, and you're like, well, there's 3 teams that are in the top 10.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just. I mean, it's just
the sheer volume of athletes in some of those schools.
I mean, that's the reality of it. I mean, and that's okay. But that's the beautiful thing about golf is that you may not win, or you may not be top 10 in that tournament, but if all your girls get their best scores, that's a good day,
right?
Right.
or even if 3 of your girls, if 3 of the 5, that's a good day.
Yeah, because obviously you're seeing progress.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you have your personal best one tournament, 2 more tournaments go by, and you have another personal best or something like that.
Yeah.
You're going as a coach. Okay, I can see where this track possibly can be taking us.
Yeah. I mean, in golf, again, people that don't, I've become a huge golf nerd now over the last 10 years. But if you just think of the size of a golf ball. So it's, $50, right? So, or maybe a silver dollar. So you take the size of that and a golf club, which is going to be maybe as wide as maybe my 3 fingers. And you've got to hit that ball perfectly on that club with a 6 to 8 foot swing arc.
Yeah, right.
Now show me another sport that's that difficult,
right,
other than maybe baseball at 80, 90 miles an hour, and it's coming at you, and you've got to hit, it's round, bats round, you got to hit square.
Right.
I mean, I know people won't like that, but there is no sport that's more difficult than that.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
And you got to push, a 70-pound bag, even though they get to use carts now, thank the Lord. But because we used to lug them, and that was terrible. But you're still pushing 70 pounds up a hill.
Yeah.
Push carts.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I know.
Yeah. I mean, and your typical tournament is going to be around 5 hours.
Yeah.
In the heat.
Right.
90 plus.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, my big rear end doesn't want to do it. That's I sure wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So it's a tough sport.
Yeah. If I couldn't drive the golf cart to the ball, I would be in trouble. I'd be dead.
Again, I walked every step this past year in the state tournament, and I was sore for days.
Where's Sean at? He died back there on hole 1.
Oh, he didn't make it to the green?
No. His ball did, but he didn't. So, all right. So you kind of hinted before the show that you're a wrestling fan?
Man, I told you, when we were talking there before. So it's kind of funny that, I went back and I kind of listened to several of the podcasts and, to kind of have an idea of, how you all kind of ran things and kind of questions and stuff.
Now, which one? The coaches or the regular show?
The regular one.
Okay, because they're totally opposite.
And I had listened to, some of the old stuff, and all the wrestling bits. And you could ask me which one, and I'll go ahead and tell you, I don't know. I heard Neil shouting off something about Hogan one time, and we all know when Neil dresses up as Hulk Hogan, Hulkster is, well, okay, never mind. We'll leave that. So, and make sure he hears that part of it. So, yeah, man, I love the wrestling part, right? So I grew up, watching Hogan, and right now my favorite thing that I'm DVRing right now is the Legends part of it. Oh my
on
gosh,
A&E.
that is amazing.
Yeah.
And this past weekend, that's what Sean and I were talking about. This past weekend was Iron Sheik, and it might have edged out Piper as being my favorite.
Yeah.
So and
see. I'm not alone.
Look, it was solid.
Are you Roddy Piper?
No, he's prime Iron Sheik. That's the joke. He always loved Iron Sheik.
Dude, that one was so stinking well done.
When I saw that it was Iron Sheik, I was like, I don't know how this is going to be, but it was really, really good.
Yeah.
I was telling Neil about it yesterday. I was like, so did you ever hear about Hacksaw Jim Duggins and Iron Sheik getting pulled over and
I never heard that.
And he goes, no. And I was like, oh. So apparently the story was that Hacksaw and him were like enemies at that time. Of course, this was when wrestling was like emotional, right?
Right.
And it's like they ride together because Iron Sheik didn't want to get a car. So he was riding with Hacksaw Jim Duggins. They get pulled over. They had cocaine and marijuana and alcohol, and they'd been drinking and all this. So they're standing outside of their car with people driving by going, isn't that Jim Duggins? Was that the Iron Sheik? I thought they were fighting tonight. Why? So Jim Duggins gets to the hotel, calls his wife, and he goes, hey, we got pulled over by the cops, but he's like, we didn't go to jail. And he said, we got away with it. Nobody knows. And so, the next day, his wife calls him and she goes, everybody knows. It was all over national news that, and like the one reporter was like, and they are supposed to be bitter enemies,
Yeah.
you know. And it's like that's
they
when
said-
the curtain got pulled back a little bit.
And in fact, they said didn't get pulled back; it got like jerked back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it was great, man. And they actually got out of jail, made it there, and wrestled that night. And they had to wrestle each other. Of course, people there didn't know, but then it came out. It was like, they were together. And
what would it be to not have social media?
So you mentioned something earlier about Randy Savage and Lanny Poffo. Lanny Poffo.
So way back in the day, and again, I was little, so I was still at Camargo. So they, it's probably early 80s, like 80, 81 maybe, right in there. And they had, I don't know if it was the Kiwanis, I think it was the Kiwanis Club, but I may be wrong. So don't, everybody listen, don't take my word on it.
It's okay. It was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
I think we're good.
Yeah, Lord help. I can't remember yesterday. So I think it was one of the clubs, and they brought in this group of wrestlers, and it was Lanny Poffo and Randy, but of course they were both Poffos at the time, and there was no Macho Man yet.
Yeah.
And and you thought maybe it was their dad's, and it was probably.
I'm sure it was, because that was how he got started, and they traveled. Like you had USWA in Memphis, where Lawler and all them was. Well, they kind of did their thing here. The funny thing about that is Neil and I were talking yesterday, and there's a guy that he works with that they were talking about how wrestling was real when we were kids, because you didn't have social media, you didn't have speculation or anything like that. Like it was real. And he, one of the guys he works with, remembers going to the wrestling thing over in Cynthiana. And he saw Macho Man Randy Savage against Lanny Poffo in the main event.
Yeah.
And because he's a kid. And after it was over with, his dad was like, well, let's stop and get ice cream. They stopped at this place to get ice cream. And here sits Macho Man and Lanny Poffo sitting at the same table eating together. And he's like, Dad, I thought I just saw them beat the crap out of each other. I thought they hated each other. And it's like, there were wrestlers, and there are still wrestlers to this day. MJF is one of them. MJF is in AEW. He is probably the most notorious heel on the planet. He lives the part of heel. He'll sign he'll sign your autograph and then rip it up.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. Did you see the video of him signing, where he signed that package with his wrestling figure in the package? He signed it, and then he goes down and he brings it back, and he just rips it apart.
Even worse, I saw the one where they're at that same signing, and there's somebody pushing a kid in a stroller, and he's signing, and he about halfway through he stops. He just looks at the kid. He leans over and goes, and the kid starts crying. And he just goes back and forth with the kid after a kid, takes a breath, starts crying. You're like, this dude.
But I mean, it's to him, it's his life. He is a heel, and that's how he lives it. You don't see him out with, one of the good guys eating supper. You just don't see it. He is in that role all the time.
Yeah, I think some of that probably they've had to change to do some of that. I think like the old school days, where they were traveling, and they were, and some of them would be freelance. They would be in all the different different groups, and they're running around all over the country. Right? I think they had to pair up because they were just dirt poor.
Oh
right.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, if that's one of the things that's I've been so amazing about watching that Legends, is that the number of those guys that were basically starving.
Yeah.
They were living in their car.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of trauma, like childhood trauma, I think that's what Piper, that's just, I didn't know a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
And man, you just think about some of the things that these guys went through, and some of the gals too, because they've had them on. But I mean, I would be so messed up in the head with the abuse that some of them went through.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No wonder when they got in and the attention got a hold of them.
Yeah.
They did some things that were just not right.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they weren't balanced.
Yeah. And the crazy part, like when they traveled around in the different territories and stuff, I mean, they might be in a heel in South Carolina or North Carolina, but they might be a face in New York. And it's really kind of funny how that all worked out. But those biographies are very well done.
Oh man,
and
absolutely.
And it tells a true story. I mean, like the one with China was heartbreaking.
Oh,
the one with Paige when. I remember when Paige made her debut, and I remember when she had to have the speech that she was going to have to quit wrestling, and then she came back, and then she got hurt again. And,
she's wrestling again, too, now, I think, isn't she?
Well, she's in AEW, but I don't think she's actually wrestling.
Yeah.
She's just doing run-ins
like
and
a manager type thing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, she
wrestled maybe twice.
Yeah. When she got kicked in the back out last time, it just did her in.
Yeah, I watched hers. I thought, and I really didn't know. I remember seeing. I think I'd watched a couple of matches, and she was, and she was on WWE.
And then she had that movie. That movie was really good.
See, I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
But I was like, holy crap! Like, she's good.
Yeah.
Like, holy. I mean, she was doing moves, and you're like, that's way.
Yeah.
They're so far advanced.
Yeah.
Like the women's division.
Oh, dude.
Ric Flair's daughter.
Charlotte.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I watched
She's
her.
fantastic.
I watched her bit, and I mean, she's over the top amazing.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty cool. So I have watched a little bit of the women as they come back, because before it was just, but they're good.
Well, when we watched it during the Attitude Era, all it was just girls being half naked.
Yeah. Now they've got athletes,
right?
that are like, wow. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the Iron Sheik was cool.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a fun series. I like watching it. So, well, I didn't know. When we started the show, I didn't know that we'd get to wrestling. But he's like, I'm going to bring wrestling up.
Well, yeah. I'm just sad that Neil didn't want to show up and actually comment back. But
he would have loved that. I promise you that for sure.
Well, I can give him grief now. See, he's not here to defend himself.
We were talking the other day, and I told him, I was like, there are times that I really miss us not doing the wrestling thing, right? But
you can always bring it up.
Thanks. Makes me feel real good.
That's not what. That's not what works for this podcast right now, right? And there are times that if something big's happened, we'll get about 45 minutes or an hour and 15 into the show, and we'll be like, okay, so we're done talking sports. We're going to talk wrestling now. So if you want to leave, you can. But, and then we'll talk 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes on wrestling, So that's kind of what we do. But
man, I love it. I appreciate you all having me on.
Well, we appreciate you coming on and
showcasing our girls and all of our athletes. Man, it's super.
Well, I want to get you back on, closer to the season, maybe before we host our tournament. That'd be really good if we could work it out to where you and maybe one of the girls or two of the girls could be on the show talking about. And that way you could drop that Thursday before the tournament starts, because the tournament's probably on a Saturday?
It is. It's Saturday, August 12th, and I'll go ahead and plug it right now because anyone that's listening, you want to come out. We have got some of the top 15 teams. That will be here. Henry Clay will be here. Central Hardin will be here. They've been top 10, top 5 over the years. I'm not sure whether they'll be this year, but they're really good. Their coach is amazing. LCA will be in ours. South Warren and their top 15. I mean, we've got some stud players coming in.
Yeah. So how many teams do you got playing in currently?
So we'll be right around 90 to 95.
90 players.
Players. So we'll have around 20, probably around 20.
So 20 teams. Different teams from around the state.
Mm-hmm.
So
and some of them will be.
So I'll say this for you, because He coached my daughter for 3 years.
And he is the bread and tent master.
The what?
The bread and tent master.
I still provide them with bread for the tournament and a tent for the tournament and whatnot.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
He's the man.
because I respect Chris as a coach, and Allie still loves all the girls that are on that team. So she very much talks to them about what's still going on.
Yeah.
She just made the decision that
She wanted to do the cheerleading instead
cheerleading
of
was the way.
Yeah.
And she comes down and visits every day too with
Right.
with some of the other girls that that play, and gives me a hard time every day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I deserve it.
So I'll go ahead and do it. 20 teams from all around the state. By all means, this team needs sponsors also. So if you want to sponsor the tournament where there's going to be 20 different teams from all around the state,
And your top players.
right, top players and if you want to see your business shown, seen, you never know what might happen. So by all means, be in touch with Coach Spoonamore or whomever, and he can
Are you
show
the one
you.
to contact for
He
the
can show you. He
sponsorship
can
stuff?
show you who
I
can.
can get them in contact. Our booster president is Mike Wheels.
Okay.
Robbie Leggett is finance. Leslie Chandler is our vice president.
I know her.
And and you all, they're amazing.
I used to work with her at those.
It's a really, really, really good opportunity for businesses to be seen because, like you said, there's going to be 90 players, 95 players there with at least one parent.
Yeah.
So,
If not more.
right, if not more. So it's a really, really
From
great.
corner to corner might have to be remote that day.
It's entertaining, man.
Yeah.
There's definitely spots and there'll be some really good shots.
And if
coming in.
you have ever there's no other tournament that serves hot off the grill pork loin sandwiches except for this one. I'm going to tell you right now.
we do stuff right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now.
You'll
it's
go
it's worth
everybody's
every
else
penny.
and you'll get turkey and pizza. You come to ours, we're smoking or grilling pork.
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't be able to play. I'd be like, can somebody go get me a sandwich over here?
it's one of those things, and we and Wesley can tell you. That's one of the best things about the parents that we have is that that's our vision for it is to make it such an amazing experience that they have to come back.
Yeah.
And so the coaches, they come. The coaches are well taken care of. The players are definitely well taken care of. And then the coaches are all like, "Hey, you're gonna have pork this?" Like, oh yeah, man. Some of the girls, that's maybe not their favorite.
We're switching to McDonald's cheeseburger. Sorry.
Now we did. There
We'll
was
play in
one
the
year.
tournament, but let's get down to brass tacks here. Are you going to have the pork sandwiches or what?
The only time I've ever been cussed by another coach was there was one year we didn't have anybody to grill or smoke or anything, and we had pizza that year, and I got cussed.
Yeah.
And I totally deserved it.
You're like,
even though I had nothing to do with it, but I totally took it and totally deserved it. So from then on, when some of our parents, might even question like, why are we doing this? I was like, trust me, I've been doing this a while.
Yeah.
I don't want to get cussed again. We're gonna have pork.
Yeah.
So it's a great experience.
And I guess the booster gets the booster club gets that support money, right?
Yeah, so
Is that what that is? The booster club doing that?
right. Yeah, it's we have all kinds of things of ways to to fund the program. And that's one. And to buy the pork loins that go on there, and some of the parents will buy that, or a parent might buy that, and or another another sponsor like one of the local meat departments might step up and be like, here, we're not going to give you money, but we'll give you 50% off on there's. So it's really cool. That makes that's a good connection that not everybody will give you cash, but they'll give you a product.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
yeah,
That's
it's awesome.
Well, again, Chris, we appreciate you coming on and spending your Tuesday evening with us.
Absolutely, it's a blast. I had a good time.
We definitely will have you back on because it'll be even better when we can talk about it in season, and you can talk like, man, we finished such and such in this last tournament, or bring on one of the girls that maybe wins a tournament or something like that. I think that'll be fantastic.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm hoping so then.
we look forward to seeing you again, and As always, folks, don't forget to check out our show on Saturday mornings as well, as these drop on Thursdays. And as always, we appreciate you, and we will see you guys next week.
Stay safe, friends.
The MOCO Four Horsemen would like to thank you for listening to From Corner to Corner. Be sure to go out and follow us on Twitter, on TikTok, on Facebook, Instagram, and even YouTube. Whatever podcast platform that you listen to us on, be sure to go out and give us a 5-star review. Thanks as always, and we look forward to seeing you next week.